Angry Birds 2 is a polarizing mess, as I said in the title already, but I also want to say that the game is also kinda weird, and I will explain why later. Well, one thing is that there is a lot to criticize about the game, but believe it or not, I still play the game from time to time. I would say that this is a polarizing game, as there are some really bad things about this game that do not deserve to be in a sequel of a legendary timeless classic, and there are some things that are really interesting and impressed me. According to my list, I have more bad than good though. I want your guys' opinion in the comments. How do you feel about the game? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Just tell me and kind of share your opinion so I can read them. Okay, so anyways, the thing is, I think it could have been on the verge of greatness and matched the first game. I just want to say that before we move on, this is how the video will be formatted. I will first go over why I still play the game, the good and the bad, so basically 3 parts. Okay, so you know in a movie or when your parents catch you doing something and you go back to them and they say something like, "Oh, look who came crawling back," or you know, like that. Well, that is me with this game. Now, I may have told you guys watching this video before, but I am always a person where I get bored from a game. I leave for a little bit, maybe 3 months to a year, and then always come back for a little while. This happens with a lot of games I play, like PvZ2, Minecraft, Fall Guys, etc. Other Angry Birds games as well. Okay, so that happens, right? But here's the thing. I think those games that I mentioned, well, some of the Angry Birds games as well, I consider them good games, but I think Angry Birds 2 is average. Why though? How is this game doing a process where I think it's average, but it's pulling me every once in a while to play it again? There are 3 reasons to this. One is the good qualities of this game bring me back, and like I said, I'll talk about those qualities later in the video, so. Number dos. I used to play this game when I was younger, and I was a kid and didn't mind the bad stuff in the game. So I played a lot and made good progress on the game. When I come back to the game later, I always think to myself saying, wow, look at all the progress I've made on this game. I'm gonna try to play it again and see if I can get farther. And by that logic of thinking, I get kind of ambitious and motivated to play the game again to get farther. The 3rd reason. This is a big reason right here. So, what is a huge difference between the levels of Angry Birds 2 and regular Angry Birds? For me, at least. That's a legitimate question, and I want you to ask yourself that question and answer it in your head and see if you get it correct. So, what do you think? I really want you to guess, like seriously. Well, it's not the waves, it's not the different graphics, the mechanics, the soundtrack, the new birds, different slingshots, and while those are significant changes, those are not the ones that I'm looking for. No, I'm gonna tell you a secret if you haven't noticed it already. In my opinion and experience, the game kinda stimulates me. I'm going to be honest and say that I don't know if that's the correct way to say it, stimulate, but that's the secret basically. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. Keep in mind that I'm going to go a little off topic for a little bit, you know, a tangent, so just bear with me. There is this popular thing that all the cool kids use these days. I'm pretty sure you haven't used it before. It's this thing called TikTok. Okay, you all know what TikTok is. I'm not going to explain it. I will admit that I don't use TikTok all that much, but I saw some YouTube shorts, Instagram Reels, or even TikToks myself. My friends sent me, and I would sometimes see a clip of a show. It would be Family Guy or South Park or some other show that I can't think of at the top of my head right now. Okay, this does not relate to the video, but I am a huge fan of South Park, so if you want to like say something in the comments and you want to talk about it, then feel free to write something down below. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. I would see the clip, but half of it is stuffed with a mobile game or another game while the clip is going on. The reason why they had these games playing was because it kind of stimulates, kind of satisfies people, and keeps their attention span from going to while watching the short. I don't know if they still do this on TikTok now, but that game, footage, whatever, does help especially with the younger kids on TikTok so they don't get bored and keep their attention spans. I would say I'm a person with a decent attention span. Not the best, but decent still. I don't need to have the jiggling keys in my face all the time, but I have to admit, it is so satisfying seeing these buildings fall, crumble, break, and to top it all off, having the golden points fill up your bar also. Okay, I don't know if stimulate is the correct word, so I might just say satisfy. But yeah, those things satisfy me playing the game. A lot. You may think why I mentioned the whole mobile gaming clips next to the whole, like, clip show, like South Park or Family Guy trope thingy. But the reason why I brought this up is because I feel like if you put Angry Birds 2 on one side of the screen and a clip from a show on another side, with the Angry Birds 2 clip trying to keep the attention span of people, I feel like you could successfully do that if it's just a compilation of buildings falling and breaking and everything. I think that could be actually pretty successful. I don't know, I just wanted to mention that because that's just a reason why I still play this game from time to time. And, well, I went a little off topic there, but let's just get back to the meat of this video, alright? I will first talk about the bad things about the game and move on to the good. But before I talk about the bad, I want to let you guys know that I am a doctor. Crazy, right? And in fact, I'm going to give my first diagnosis. I diagnosed Angry Birds 2 with a common disease called mobile game disease. There are so many aspects of the game that are just similar to other cash grabs. In-app purchases popping up in your face, pop-ups of ads, insufferable hours of grinding, etc. I don't really like playing a game that shoves offers and one-time deals in my face, or a purchase that is not worth it at all. Now I will say there are some offers that are good, but this may not happen all the time. But it still pisses me off from time to time. Rovio may not have wanted to tell this message when they released the game. Or actually maybe they did. I'm watching you greedy bastards. But anyway, but they may not have made the game with the message of just earning money. Yes, it's important to earn money and live in the Flesh Squad family. 2017 brain rot was something else. Okay, let me just shut up, but at least have the decency to make the gameplay fun and act like you do care about the game. And they have shown acts of that in the past, but when you shove these offers in my face, it just gives me the message of buy our stuff. Why play the game when you can pay? Or simply, give us money, please.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money!
Like, shut up! If I wanted to purchase something, I'll just grab my mom's credit card and just buy something at the store. You may think differently, which I respect your opinion, but if you give off those messages, it doesn't really sound like you care about the game, and only care about the money. I have to clarify and say, I think in-app purchases are okay in a game. It's a free game, I get it, but the two problems I have with them is that content is locked behind a paywall, or two, they just pop up in your face and it just gets annoying. I totally agree with adding purchases to progress through a game faster, like buying gems and other things to help. Just don't be annoying about it. Okay, continuing on. There used to be a life system in the game. Oh my god, I would have flamed this game if they still had it. Wait, they still have it? Oh yeah, it's still in the game. Piss off. I hate this. I hate when a game turns into one of those games. But now they have an energy system which is still pretty pathetic. So it's basically Angry Birds Go. Like, why? Are you really that greedy? It just has all the stupid tropes of an endless game. Since we're on the topic of adventure mode, let me present an idea. This is not the adventure mode we know and love. We don't get any cutscenes or original buildings that made the first game charming. Instead, it's just repetitive BS. Yes, you heard me say original buildings, because you will probably notice after a little while of playing, the waves and buildings are just randomly generated. You will see some repeats and similarities that just make me think that we're lazy to all hell. Yes, you have... Wait. $3,660? Jesus Christ. Yes, if you went down the path of just originally making levels, you would have to make 3,660. But you guys, and as in you guys, I'm talking about Rovio, you guys brought that upon yourselves, alright? And if you want to have 3,660 levels randomly generated with some lazy repeats, That's fine. Just don't expect us to think that this is better and more creative than Angry Birds 1. Okay, well, I don't think the devs are, like, coming out and saying that it's more creative than Angry Birds 1, per se. But you know what I mean. Like, we're comparing Angry Birds 1 to Angry Birds 2, vaguely here, so. But you get what I mean. But going back to my idea from what I said a little bit ago. This idea will mostly nullify the complaints with Adventure Mode. Just make another mode where it's like Angry Birds 1. Have a mode where there are more cutscenes, original crafted buildings and obstacles, and boss battles, of course. Have it expand on the original game. Maybe the story is more tense or something. Maybe show the pigs have more ideas to steal the eggs, also. They seem to do that well in the first game. Just do something to expand on the first game with this new adventure mode, instead of having it the same, oh, hoo-ha, we stole your eggs, and now we're running away each time you catch us. With this, you can keep the other adventure mode and rename it to Endless Mode or something. That would be completely fine, and you can keep up with the shenanigans of generating levels randomly and supposed laziness in the Endless Mode. Okay, but going back to regular adventure mode that's in the game right now, one more complaint is that the higher level you're on, the more useless the prizes get. I understand you're at a higher level and that the game should get harder, but the chests in between the levels literally reward you with dirt. Okay, I don't know if this will surprise you. It probably will or won't. Okay. Listen here. I don't think I've never, ever went back and replayed a level. And you want to know why that's the case? It's because every single level that I think that I played, I think I've gotten 3 stars on it. That's insane. Maybe a chance where I did go back to replay at least one level to get 3 stars, and I'm just not remembering it, but I really doubt it. I've gained a new superpower, by the way, guys. It's called reading your mind. Yes, I am now a doctor and I can read your mind. I know, pay me $1 million now. But I can read your mind because you're saying,
wow, you get 3 stars on every level. Oh my god, your life is so hard.
wait, what is that saying? My steak is too juicy and my lobster's like too buttery or something like that. I think that's what some of you guys are thinking. But it just doesn't make sense how I'm able to get 3 stars on every level. Alright, everyone, brace yourselves for what I'm about to tell you. This game now has a battle pass. God damn it. Why? Okay, to be fair, it's not too bad because it's an opportunity to win free awards, but it just kinda hurts my soul seeing a battle pass in an Angry Birds game. I don't play clans as much, but one small problem I have is that clans are kinda useless, for me at least. But I can't say this for everyone. I join it or start a clan, but it quickly goes inactive as nobody grinds on it because people either quit the game or don't play clans. You can kick people out, yes, but one huge problem I have is that when I click on a profile to kick them, sometimes it says failed to get profile, so I'm unable to kick them. But like I said, it's a small problem as I sometimes quit the game for a long period of time, so I'm kind of a hypocrite for pointing this out as a problem I have. But it's still a problem with the game, okay? Other people experience it even if they're playing the game a lot. So I'm gonna say it. Don't judge me, please. Okay, now it's time to get to the fun part. The actual characters. I will be talking about Silver later in the video. Some of you guys think the blues are underpowered, and you may be right, but I will not be talking bad about them, as they can literally shed through glass like nobody's business, and it can be useful at times. Though, the blues is pretty outclassed by pretty much a lot of the other birds, so if you think the blues are completely useless, I can understand why you say that. The only character I will be criticizing is Leonard. Leonard, in my opinion, is the worst character. It's solely because of his unpredictable movement. Now, I have a feeling there will be comments down below saying that this is just a skill issue. But the fact is, when you launch a snotball, it launches Leonard back, making it very predictable and hard to use in time. I do like the idea of his power, launching projectiles to take down and knock back buildings, but Melty is just a bird that outclasses Leonard by a crap ton. And Melty is also a bird we'll be talking about later in the video. One simple fix I can think for Leonard is to just slow down everything. when you're using his power so you can time his projectiles easier. I know it doesn't make sense, as you never saw Leonard in the two Angry Birds movies magically slow down time, but it would just make the character so much better. This whole kind of ranting about Leonard kind of leads to my next problem, and it's the fact how you can choose your birds. Or characters. I keep saying birds, but I need to say characters because there's also a pig, so... Now, since I have the ability to choose my characters, there's a 100% chance that I will not choose Leonard. Or heck, maybe not even use Blues or Chuck. Not that the Blues and Chuck are terrible birds. They are okay birds to use, but I'll talk about that more later in the video. There's just a lot of stuff that I'll be talking about later in the video. Just watch the whole thing, alright? But there are just better options. I mean, there may be times where it is better to use a Blues if there's a lot of ice, or Chuck if there's a lot of wood, but most of the birds just attack any type of material, therefore outclassing them. So what I think the game needs to do is take the PvZ2 approach. In PvZ2, there are rare levels that choose most of the plants for you, and I think it needs to happen in adventure mode in this game. Have it to where maybe every 4 to 5 levels, there's a level where it chooses a couple, a few, or half of your characters, and then you get to choose the rest. I know in Arena, it chooses the birds for you, and for your opponent, which I'm just kind of meh about. It kind of fixes my problem where you can use the characters that are outclassed, but it doesn't let you have the flexibility of choosing some of your characters as well, which I think it should be important in this game. I say this is a small problem because there will be people out there who say,
"Who gives a rat's ass? Why are you complaining about this? Just choose the strongest birds so you can beat the level easier."
The thing is, that is the problem. I bet barely people use Leonard, Chuck, Blues, or maybe even Stella because the other birds are just better. I think they should be used more. I don't know. That's just a problem I have that maybe others don't. Just from all that, I might be a Yapper McYapatron, but that's just a small grievance that I have, where it's just kind of like, are you guys sure about this? Okay, last but certainly not least for my list of bad things, is that I don't have any memories of this game. Yes, I remember playing the game in the past, but I have no distinctly fun memories of the game. And now that I'm thinking about that, it's kinda sad. To go more into detail, a lot of the great games I played in the past, I remember stories and reminisce about them. Look, in my Angry Birds Go video, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Go anymore on the channel, but I'm just going to talk about it again just to prove my point. There are so many awesome memories I can talk about in the game. Before 2.0, like the time when I first got King Pig, and my little kid self was really surprised that you could choose a pig as a character. Or me remembering the mass amount of time I spent at Corporal Pig, as he was the hardest champion chase for me, and feeling accomplishment and joy when I unlocked him. Or my anticipation building up every race I completed to get closer to Chuck. You see, those are 3 memories I just listed. Bam, 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 like that. I'll do another game just to prove my point more. Angry Birds Epic. Possibly the greatest Angry Birds game in the franchise in my opinion. A memory I had is hearing about Angry Birds Epic being released to the public soon, checking the App Store every day for it to be released. Once it released, I was ecstatic and I played all the way until this point in the game in one single day. Or the memory where I spent literal weeks on the second castle because it was insanely difficult for me when I was younger. Lastly, I remember a time when I got to King Pig's castle. I was in a hotel room and the Wi-Fi was extremely spotty, so I was stuck with this stupid screen here every once in a while trying to beat the boss. Again, bam bam bam. 3 memories and I could list more. I could do this with other games as well that aren't in the Angry Birds franchise. But with Angry Birds 2, it's been kind of bland. That I can't think of any memories. And it might be bias, but this is my biggest problem with the game. This is #1 top issue. And it's, like I said, it's pretty sad. Now, this issue may be controversial, because this is a personal issue, and maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys can recall a whole bunch of memories from this game. I'm going to end off talking about the bad stuff here, and I will say, I didn't really have any grievances with the Daily Challenge, Arena, Mighty Eagles boot camps, except for minor nitpicks. However, you guys know the drill. Tell me in the comments what problems you have with the modes I mentioned, or the game overall. Heck, regarding my problem where I can't reminisce about any memories, tell me some memories you remember in the comments below. You guys can just say to me, hey, I do have fond memories of this game. I did enjoy playing it, and I do have good memories about it. Just to show me that I am, or am not, the only one. Believe it or not, I really do like seeing your opinions and connecting you guys on and your stories on how these games that I talk about has given you a negative or positive experience. I'm not joking when I say that there are some things that genuinely impressed me in this game. First, let's talk about the soundtrack. I will say for a fact, it did not need to slap this hard. Alright, this is going to be a part of the video where I play some tracks for you to kind of give you a feel on how good this soundtrack is. Alright, I'm afraid we have a hot take alert. A hot take alert. That Mountain Port theme that I just played, I feel like it's one of the best themes in all of Angry Birds. Like, seriously. Like, it belongs in a movie. Well, one of the movies at least. But I feel like it belongs in a movie. It's like the birds are like marching up to like a volcano or something and trying to beat the final boss. I don't know. It sounds kind of corny a little bit when I say like that, but you know what I mean. This theme absolutely slaps, and that means a lot coming from our catalog of songs and soundtracks we have from the Angry Birds franchise. My god, it is just so good. I love this song. I would honestly, I would put it as my favorite song in the whole franchise. My favorite song, at least. I don't know if other people would have that same opinion, however. I'm a guy who likes to have music in a game, and I can barely play a game with no sound unless if I'm multitasking, like listening to something while playing. I can already have some respect for a game if the music is good. I have never played games like Terraria or Undertale, and while maybe I've not listened to the music themselves, I have heard music in the background of some videos, and I can acknowledge that, hey, that's not terrible. I actually kind of like it a little bit. Okay, but, well, hold on. Just a small thing. I didn't hear the Terraria soundtrack just in the background of videos. One of my high school teachers actually played the Terraria soundtrack because of how, like, calming it is in the background while we were taking our tests, so I thought that would just be cool to mention. But yeah, I don't plan on playing these games in the future, but if I were to play those games, I might look forward to it a little bit more just because of the music. That's just me though. I don't know if you guys are the same. One of the biggest things in the game, in my opinion, is the art style. I'm not an artist, but we can all agree that the game looks awesome. I love the background art in the levels, how 3D it looks. It gets even more enhanced when you see freaking pigs and buildings fly at you. The lighting is beautiful, and it just feels like Rovio did work hard on this game, despite what I said earlier about the whole message of, hey, we want your money, blah blah blah. I can give a game more sympathy if I get the feeling that they worked hard, and I certainly think that is the case with this game. Oh, and one more thing about the art. I feel like this art style for the birds is just peak. I know the game was released back in 2015, back during the 3-year period of when Angry Birds Toons was airing, so it would obviously make sense for them to rock with that art style. But still, it's just awesome. I kind of like how the leveling system in the game works. Okay, not as much as collecting the whole feathers kind of thing, that's just kind of whatever. But I am talking about the hats. I like how they made it where you can collect hats, but instead of them just being cosmetic, you can get the hats and they can help you level up your birds as well. Also, I like how you can choose whatever hat you want, but the level stays the same. I feel like this is a good way of making cosmetic items help you on your journey. Oh wait. If they help you on your journey, I don't think they're called cosmetic items anymore, aren't they? I feel like this is a good way of making collectible items help you on your journey. Another random thing I like about bosses in this game, I do like how they add a different element with a more strategic approach because of the format of the bosses. I think I like the health bar a little more than the bosses in, say, Angry Birds Space or Rio. By the way, while I'm talking about space, they've made a space event for Angry Birds 2, which can be added to the list of good things as it's pretty cool. And the art for this event is, what do you know, awesome. Okay, sorry, but back to the bosses. Rio and Space take the Nintendo approach, where you need to hit the boss a select number of times. But with Angry Birds 2, it matters how hard you hit the boss, the items you drop on it, or just sending him to the gulag altogether. Look, I said I don't play clans that much, and even with the negatives I said about it earlier, but I've been in a couple Angry Birds Discord servers, and I've seen people message like, hey, we got a clan in Angry Birds 2, come join, or something like that. A lot of games have that, but I do think it's cool that they incorporated that in an Angry Birds game and kind of have a whole community come together to be in a clan. Okay, lastly, the birds. The birds are really good in this game, and the reason why is because they fill different purposes. Red blowing over tall buildings and rolling structures, which, by the way, I like how they give Red a power-up in this game. Matilla's able to attack a building right below her. Her shooting up as she unleashes the beast is extremely useful, as you can try to attack other buildings with her, even ones that are far away. Speaking of far away, that's what Chuck is great at too. It may be a little hard to time sometimes, and Chuck is definitely not the best bird, but it had somewhat that hard timing from Angry Birds 1, and it is really good against wood, so it is formidable to use. Bomb is just bomb. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Hal is a little tough to use, but he literally shoots through anything like a chainsaw with his boomerang, so I would say he's okay to use. Stella is just okay, she can get the job done. Bubbles is freaking awesome. I love how in Angry Birds 2, the buildings are more... Sorry, I can't think of an adjective for this. Bouncy? Maybe realistic because they are more impactful from the force from Bubbles' power. Yeah, realistic sounds right. But just seeing the buildings fly and use it to knock down other buildings, oh my god, chef's kiss. Terrence is just a bird where you say F it, just send Terrence in there whenever you're not really sure what to do next in the level. I know a lot of my fans don't watch sports, but it reminds me of that meme from 4 years ago. F it, Tyreek Hill is somewhere down there. By the way, if I had $1 million for every time I mentioned Tyreek Hill in an Angry Birds video on my channel, I would have $2 million. And $2 million is a lot of money. But yeah, Terrence is just the bird where you're just like, when in doubt, launch Terrence. Use him near a fan, and then all the pigs will have to pack their bags and leave. Then next, Silver. Silver was one of the worst characters by far. But one day, in July of 2024, Silver was buffed to have a Grand Slam, and she is overall more powerful in slamming down into a building. Apparently the lore is that she used her smarts to discover a new power. To be fair, it only took 9 years for her to finally get buffed, but better late than never, I guess, right? No, in all seriousness, this was a great change, Rovio. And finally, if we're going to keep talking about how good the birds are, Melty is one of the greatest things added to the Angry Birds franchise. I know she only appears in a couple of games and is in an animated series, but the concept of her power is extremely creative, and the ability to launch balls into other buildings is kind of like Laser Bird's power in Angry Birds Space, but 10 times better. She really adds a strategic element to the game. Which structure should you launch her to, and where should you shoot at? Some of you guys are maybe thinking how much Krispy Kremes I have bought with how much glaze I'm giving her, but I just think it's a perfect way to add something new to a game that has been out for around 7 years at that point when she was released. I'm not saying Rovio should just keep this up and just keep adding overpowered birds, that's not what I mean at all. But Melty just adds something new to the table, you know? Okay, now I was originally going to end the video right here, but I'm going to break the rules a little bit and give you this little tidbit. This is to answer the question in the thumbnail. Do I think the game is bad or good? A while ago I put out a poll to see what some people think, and while the poll only has 28 votes, nowhere close to a sample size that I think that would be reasonable, it still kind of gave me an idea of what some people were at. 11% good, 57% good with some bad qualities, 14% bad with some good qualities, and 18% bad. I wish YouTube polls could give me more options so I could put like the game is just okay or different variations of bad or good, but you can leave your opinion in the comments, so I'm just not going to complain too much about that. If I had to choose, I would say, drumroll please, Angry Birds 2 is mostly bad. You could have came to this conclusion easily if you just see how much bad I had to say about the game compared to the good, and you can obviously that the bad outweighs the good, and it's honestly a shame. I don't think there was any need for that drum roll, but, you know, I had to do it, okay? Don't let me influence your opinion, though. If you disagree with me, then go to the poll and vote good, or mostly good with a few bad qualities, if you feel this way. Alright, kind of a short conclusion, but Angry Birds 2 is a polarizing mess that can be on the verge of greatness, but has some huge flaws. It kind of upsets me a little because, like I said earlier, I can tell they put a lot of work into this game. Well, except for the auto-generated reused buildings. I can sum the game up in the sentence you might have heard before. Angry Birds 2 is just another Angry Birds game. It was developed, produced, released, has some great aspects, it has some terrible ones, and it's overall just a game that exists.